Welcome everybody to Freaky Tales Podcast. First of all, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, everybody that's subscribed, because in a short amount of time, we actually had 1,200 people that subscribed to Freaky Tales Podcast, and we had no content. So first of all, much love, much respect to all of you guys. So before I introduce my co-host, up above me, there's an email there, and it's very important that you guys see that. It's freakytalespodcast@gmail.com. And that is for those that want to submit their stories. If you have a ghost story, something freaky happened to you, something paranormal, something you cannot explain, write it down, email it to us. And what we're going to do every week, possibly starting next week, we're going to read it at the end of the show and we'll discuss it. If you want to remain anonymous, that's cool. If you want your name stated, that's cool. So please email us. Try to keep it possibly no longer than 2 paragraphs, okay? We don't want to be here, reading somebody's diary. But please share with us, and we want you to be a part of this show, and that's how we're going to allow you guys. Eventually, we're going to have people call in, but we want to kind of break the ice with me and my co-host first, and then eventually we'll have guests, we'll have people call in, and believe me, we want you to be a part of the show. Now, under me, there should be Freaky Tales Podcast on Instagram, where you can follow us and look for future content, look for future guests, whatnot. So, other than that, first of all, once again, I want to thank you. And now, let me go ahead and introduce my co-host, the Spice Smuggler.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. I had a little swig of wine. It's amazing how cheap wine is so delicious.
I'm like Bela Lugosi. I don't drink wine. So, yeah,
classic,
I like Bela
very
Lugosi.
classic.
Bela Lugosi, for those people that may not know, that is Dracula. If you guys like black and white movies, you know what? Bela Lugosi is the man. There's Boris Karloff, there's Lon Chaney, but I can keep going on. So, other than that, Spice Smuggler, for the people that may not know exactly your background, share a little bit about yourself so that people can kind of get familiar what you know, what you experienced, what you've been through, what you've seen, etc.
Well, to sum it up in a small shell, if I were to go way back, I'll be here all night. So I'm going to sum it up this way.
Right.
As I said before in our intro, it started with my dad. He planted the seed. After that, I was so intrigued with the subject that I just read up on it. I was intrigued by the horror movies. Next thing you know, I'm reading thick books, magazines on the subject. I can even remember being 6 years old in the 70s, my father taking us to the magazine bookstores, and he would bring stacks of paranormal magazines.
Yeah.
And that's basically where it started, and so on and so on. But for the past, I say 20 years is where I really, really hit it hard and got my deep education.
And pretty much the paranormal, the if you will, alien or education is in.
Well, yeah. The funny thing about that, Tony, is that the more I went into it, the more I read, the more I studied, it's like things started happening. Mm-hmm. Negative things, scary things.
So it seems like the more you dug, the more you began to discover, or you begin to see.
It almost felt like I awoke a sleeping giant.
Okay.
It scared me, but yet, as a person, as a human being, mm-hmm. I wanted to know. Even though it scared me, I wanted to know. I didn't want to experience the things because I experienced a lot of crazy things.
Right.
But I had to know. I mean, this stuff's just not normal.
Well, I think the reason why me and you can really talk about it is because we grew up with it. I remember one of the magazines that my dad used to always buy. It was called Duda, D-U-D-A.
Yeah.
For everybody that's pretty much Latino. I think it was like in the 70s he used to bring that.
Yeah.
And then he had another magazine called Alarma that was like Faces of Death type of magazine.
That didn't help either.
And he used to leave to go to work and we used to look at him.
Yeah.
So we saw UFOs, we saw people reading stories about people being kidnapped, abducted, demon possession, all of that stuff. So, but anyways, last night, the reason why I wanted you to share a little bit about this, because last night when you were watching TV, I walked into the room. And what movie were you watching?
The Exorcist.
Okay. What is it about The Exorcist that you saw or that intrigues you to keep watching it? Because that movie, if I'm correct, came out in 1976. And I think, I think I was like 6 years old when I first saw that movie.
Yeah.
You know, I want to say 76 or 74, if I'm correct.
If I'm not mistaken, it's 1973.
Okay. But I know I was around 6 years old and I was
Yeah.
traumatized with that damn movie.
Yeah, to this day, you know, I'm 50 years old, and to this day, walking in the dark room still bothers me. Nothing bothers me, but thinking of that movie bothers me.
Yeah.
You know, that movie was based on reality. Even though it wasn't 100% accurate, it was based on reality.
Right, right. And it's funny because me and you for the last few weeks have been trying to discuss what are we going to open up with, what subjects, what, if you will, what are we going to be talking about? What do people want to know? And last night I got it. When you were watching The Exorcist, it was pretty much in the very beginning when I walked in. And what was Linda Blair as a little girl playing with down at the basement?
A Ouija board.
A Ouija board.
Yeah.
And it's funny because for years I've seen that movie over and over and over and over. And for some reason, I always seem to miss that part. I always look at her eyes roll back, her levitating, her jumping on the bed. But I always forget that how did it all start with the Ouija board? So somehow or another, according to that movie, she opened the door.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, before we actually start getting into a little bit about the Ouija board, tell me some of the things that you heard, that you've known, or that people might have told you about Ouija boards.
Well, I could tell you from firsthand experience, I was an idiot for trying to mess with it. Mm-hmm. I highly encourage people not to mess with it. Don't touch it. I'm not gonna lie, Tony. Before I get into it, just talking about Ouija boards and that portal, opening that portal, makes my skin crawl. I'm gonna put that out front. That's why I'm drinking wine to relax me.
Right.
But yeah, I'll tell you from firsthand experience. I was in a place, and it was after my mother's passing. I knew better, but my mother just passed, and I couldn't accept it. So I said, screw it. I made a Ouija board. And I said, I shouldn't be doing this. A friend of mine sat there with me, and I tried it out. Nothing happened. My book light was flickering, and I know from my paranormal education that whenever the spirit's around, they draw off of energy. I just put fresh batteries in my book light. They went dead. Right there, that was a sign right there. Something's around, but it wasn't reacting to the Ouija board. I changed the batteries. Again, they went completely dead. I said, you know what? This shit ain't working. My friend tried it, nothing. I stood up from my chair. I looked out the window. Right after playing with the Ouija board, I looked out. I'm not going to say where I'm at. That's for a later date. But I looked out of the window, and I look out in the yard, and I seen 5 gang fights pop off simultaneously at once. Now, where am I going with this? I'm telling you that whatever I conjured up or whatever door I opened didn't come forward to me. It made its way to the yard because, like I said, when I got up, I looked out. I mean, there was guys chasing people with the bat. Someone trying to stab someone. People hitting each other with racquetball. What do you call them things you play racquetball with? And guys just throwing blows. And I said, holy crap. I felt it. I just felt it. And that I knew that I had done something wrong. And that was an educational moment and a scary moment. To this day, I think about it.
You know, for people that may not know, we're talking about Ouija boards, okay? And that word Ouija, some people say Ouija, some people say Ouija boards. All depends on how you want to pronounce it.
Potato.
Yes, but one thing about that, when I first heard about it, obviously I was a kid and I saw somebody playing with it. I didn't know what it was. And you guys can Google pretty much all the information that I'm about to give you. It's a board, and it has numbers from 0 to 9. It has yes, it has no, hello, and goodbye, and it has a little triangle where you lay your hands, and it's supposed to lead you. Now, according to the person who named it Ouija board, supposedly he was playing with it, and whatever was on the other side told him that this is what you should name it, supposedly. Okay, and it was if I'm correct, an ancient Egyptian name, which happens to mean good luck.
The funny thing is, you say Egyptian. There's even history in Asia. that dates back, what, 11,000 years?
It was 1100 AD.
Well, there's even in India, there's history of this type of stuff. It dates back way before we started recording history.
Yeah.
You know, this is stuff that shouldn't be played with.
Right.
You don't know these things that are behind. People look at it like a game. These entities that you're calling have been around before humans existed. And you think it's a game? You think you can play a game like, hey, let's play this Ouija board. It's Friday.
Right.
Let's see if it moves. Let's ask it questions. These things aren't looking out for your best interest. These things are just out there, and we don't know what they are.
Right.
People have an idea: demons, spirits, ghosts. You don't know.
Right.
Paranormal investigators don't know. Ghost hunters don't know.
No.
They have an idea.
They actually, when you look at some of these ghost hunters, they actually act like if they're giving you a tour guide down Hollywood Boulevard. They try to be comical. They try to. It's almost like it's a joke to them that you could play with the Ouija board, or you can play with this, or you can play with that. Like it's fun in games, and it's not really fun in games because we've experienced a lot of these things. Now, as far as the Ouija board is concerned, the person who came up with this name or whatnot eventually sold the idea to Hasbro. Okay.
Yeah.
Which now you could buy them at Target, you could buy them at Walmart. I mean, they even got Ouija boards where they're glow in the dark, and the age limit is from 8 years old on up. Who's gonna let a 8-year-old play with that? Now, very quickly. As far as the Ouija board is concerned, you know why it was made, and a lot of people don't know this. We think that it's for us to contact whoever's on the other side, but really it was made for the dead or whoever's on the other side to contact us.
And do you believe that? Do you believe it's for the dead? I believe that's one big farce. I believe the people who created this had negative intentions.
Yeah.
Were probably Satanists. You can even, I don't want to get off subject, but Johnson and Johnson baby powder. They used to have a pentagram.
Yeah. The Baphomet.
Yeah, on their bottles. McDonald's back in the 70s used to donate to the Satanic Church. Yeah. There's a lot of history behind a lot of this stuff. But Parker Brothers, I believe, are the ones that owned the Ouija board.
Right. Okay.
Go figure on that.
Yeah. It's funny that you bring that up, like Satanism or Satanist or the Church of Satan, because if people want to know a little bit more about Satan, even though this is not our topic, but you brought it up and said possibly Satanists came up with this. Look up Aleister Crowley. Ozzy Osbourne actually even dedicated a song to him called Mr. Crowley.
Right.
And he was considered the Black Pope of Satan. After that, he ordained a guy named Anton LaVey. Anton LaVey opened up the first Church of Satan in San Francisco, if I'm correct, in the 60s.
Right.
Okay, a public satanic church. He actually even wrote the Satanic Bible. Now, when people don't refer to him as a Satanist, they'll refer to him as a philosopher. And a lot of people don't know that he actually ordained Marilyn Manson, the rock star.
Right.
So here you have Aleister Crowley, here you have Anton LaVey, okay, and here you have Marilyn Manson. And Marilyn Manson is good friends with rappers today, okay? So we see where it's going, and it's out there. Now, as far as the Baphomet, people may not know that's a satanic symbol.
Right.
But as far as going back to the Ouija board, was there anything else you wanted to cover on that before I switch it up and I want to share my story on something like that?
Every time we go on a subject, you mention something, different thoughts pop up because you mentioned Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
Marilyn Manson, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's either Twitter or Instagram. What's that one rapper that came out recently? Not recently, a few months back, holding a purse and wearing a dress.
I know who you're talking about. The name just doesn't.
Is it Little Yachty or something like that? I'm not a big rap fan.
I don't recall it. If it comes to me, then I'll tell you.
Well, on his, I'm gonna say Twitter. His only follower, the only person he follows, and he has millions of followers. The only guy he follows is Marilyn Manson.
Correct.
And he says that Marilyn Manson owns him.
He's the rapper that moves his shoulders. When he raps. Okay,
yeah.
Don't ask me to do that again.
But Ouija boards.
Now, let me ask you this: for people that may be wondering, do you believe that it's the dead trying to contact us, or us trying to contact possibly dead loved ones? Are they just wandering spirits that either haven't gone to heaven or hell or purgatory? Are these alien beings? Because obviously people, after watching this podcast, they're going to have their own opinions.
Right.
So let me ask you, what do you think it is behind that board? Bad energy?
You know, I want to say, because no one has hard facts.
Yeah.
I could just tell you from experience.
Yes.
That spirits of loved ones can communicate. I really believe that. I'm not saying that's what comes through. I'm saying they can. But I believe they know the dangers, even in the afterlife. They know the dangers.
Right.
And I can confirm that through a story, but I don't want to bring my mom back, my mom that passed away into this.
Right.
And that's a sensitive subject. Our mom, I apologize.
Yeah.
I don't want to bring that story, but I can confirm that spirits can communicate. However, they're dealing with other entities that are also sneaking through, and they got to stay away from them. I haven't been in that realm, but I do believe that spirits hang around for a while before they pass on.
Right.
Not to take away, I'm not saying that God is sloppy, the creator is sloppy, and he has no control of deceased loved ones, but I do believe that love, the power of love, family lingers on, and they're just not ready to go, and they want to see or they want to experience or hang around or whatnot. Because I've heard plenty of stories of deceased loved ones hanging around, waiting for that person to pass away and take them with them.
Right.
And I know that for a fact from experience. But yes, they don't want us to play with these things.
Right. You know, I'm going to share a story with you. And I know I've never shared the story publicly, because this one individual who I know very, very well, I've known him for many, many years, told me this. And the reason why I'm sharing it now is because we're on the subject of Ouija boards.
Right.
This guy, I will say he lived in the LA area. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. He started playing with Ouija boards because he was trying to contact his father, who had just recently passed away. He said he went to go look up a tarot card reader. He said he went to go look at a palm reader, and he wanted to know how his dad had passed away, because he had came home and saw his dad in the living room, flat on his face, and he couldn't get over it.
Right.
He just could not get over it. So he went out and saw, people. And according to him, he said he even encountered a witch, and she didn't even have the answers. So he said he went to a store and bought a Ouija board. And he just said that he just tried to talk to it, help me, Dad, are you there, type of deal.
Right.
And what happened, he said finally he started weeping, he started crying, and he just took his hands off of it. And he just said, Dad, are you there? Dad, are you there? And he said that slowly it started moving to yes. But that scared him.
Right.
It wasn't that it brought him like joy, thinking that it was his dad, answering him, scared him. So he put it away, and he put it in his room. Now he told me this after this all happened. He said since that night, something would walk into his room, usually around 3 o'clock in the morning. And I just thought it was kind of odd at 3 o'clock in the morning. And it would sit on his bed, and he would feel his dad.
Common story. A lot of people experience that.
Sit on his bed. Now, he said that his dad used to always go in there when he was younger and sit on his bed, rub his leg, and ask him, son, what are your plans for today? What are you going to do today, type of deal. So he said he experienced that 3 times. Okay. So now, this is the part that got me. He tells me that he falls asleep, he has a dream, and he gets a phone call in the dream. And he said, and it's just as real as I'm talking to you right now. He said, I picked up the phone, and it was my uncle. My uncle had passed several years prior.
Yeah.
And he starts talking to me. And he starts telling me, hey, boy, how you doing? He goes exactly the way he used to talk to me. What's up, boy? How you doing? What's going on? How you living? He said, man, it was just like talking to him. And I said, hey, how you doing? How you doing? Man, it's good to talk to you. He was all excited.
Yeah.
And he said they talked maybe for like 15, 20 seconds. And then the uncle said, hey, I'll just use the name Mark for an example because I don't want to say his real name.
Okay.
And he says, Mark, do you know who's here? Mark, do you know who's here? And he said, no. And he said, your dad is here. And that's what he said.
Yeah.
And he said, can I talk to him? And he goes, yeah, he wants to talk to you. So he hands him the phone, well, according on the other side.
Right.
And he said for about 5 seconds, there was no sound. And then finally he heard, and I'll use the name Mark once again. He said, Mark? And he goes, Dad, it's you. And he said, yes, it's me. He said, but he sounded very sad.
Right.
And I asked him, what happened? What happened? He goes, I had a heart attack.
Right.
And he said, wow, Dad, I miss you. I love you. He goes, and he cuts me off and he tells me, you shouldn't have been playing with that, Mark.
Yeah.
That's what he told him.
Right.
Now, this is the part that freaked me out because he tells his dad, I want to ask you something. He said, ask me. He goes, what is heaven like? He goes, and he hung up on me.
Yeah.
He said, the phone went dead. He said, and then that's when I woke up. He said, and I threw that Ouija board away.
That's a very emotional subject. That's one thing I didn't want to get into because it referred to my mother when I played it with that Ouija board.
Yeah.
Similar story, and I'm not going to go into it because I'm not going to exploit that situation about my mother on YouTube. You know, maybe one day I'll try to share it in a different form, different way, in a positive way. Not that this is negative or anything, but I understand that because after that day I played with that Ouija board.
Yeah.
The next 3 nights, mind you, three. Why is it always that number? Usually 3, 6, 6, 6, or whatever. That night, after I played with the Ouija board, I slept on the lower bunk.
Yeah.
And I'm sure by now a lot of people know what I'm talking about. You know, at the moment I was making good on a commitment to the federal government for 10 years. So I was on the lower bunk. I wake up, Tony, and I look up, and there's a black entity, like a black shadow, squatting down on the brick wall cubicle, squatting down with his arms on his knees, looking at me, and I'm rubbing my eyes. And I look at it, rub my eyes again, and it's gone. The next night, I see a black shadow, a silhouette of my mom sitting on a chair. Was that my mother? I don't think so. The reason I believe that these things were there, for one, I opened the door. I was playing with that Ouija board.
Right.
Second, these entities are not stupid, and they know who's vulnerable, who can be picked on, who can be taken advantage of.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not one of them, but I did make that mistake of play with that Ouija board.
Yeah, you opened the door.
I opened the door. Yeah.
For someone to come in.
Yeah, but the first thing was when I saw 5 gang fights pop off on a yard.
Right.
And I said, holy cow. I'm not laughing, but
Now somebody may think, oh, that happens all the time. But what you're talking
Not
about,
at
the
the same time.
coincidence
Yeah.
and the timing of it.
yeah, and then seeing some freaking something squatting on top of the brick wall in my cubicle, and then something imitating my mother sitting on a chair in the middle of the night, you know, when I wake up in the middle of the night.
Right.
You know, these things like to play on your emotion. These things are evil. It wasn't my mother. It wasn't a ghost. It wasn't a spirit. It was demonic.
Right.
Deceased loved ones can communicate, but they don't want you to, because if they communicate with you and they confirm it's them, then you're going to continue.
Right.
They know you love them. They know you miss them.
Right.
And they don't want you playing with it.
Right. And, you know, and a lot of times, is it possible that for you trying to communicate with a loved one, whether it's a brother, whether it's a son, whether it's a father, that something else can pretend to be?
Absolutely. 110%.
And that's the danger of that. It's a danger of it because you don't know who that is. You may be thinking it's your brother. You may be thinking it's your sister.
It may not attach itself to you or cause problems to you. You may have a son or a daughter or a nephew there. It may attach to them. Next thing you know, it may not cause them problems, but these things are evil. Remember, these things are ancient. These things have been around before the freaking earth was created.
Right.
These things are not good. They're not looking for your best intention. And the way they attach themselves to people is, you never know. That kid may grow up to to have some kind of disease, may be disruptive in school, may grow up to be a drug addict, may be a troublesome kid in school. You don't know.
Because whatever it is, it attached itself to us. Individual.
Get Hollywood out of your mind for a second and think of the negativity it brings. These things know how to direct their negative energy toward a family, because that's what ultimately they're trying to do, is break down the structure of a family.
Yeah. You know, I'm going to share something with you that happened to me. I want to say I was around 22 years old, and I went over a friend's house, and I'll just say his name was John. I'll just use the name John.
Not John Elkins, right?
Not John Elkins.
Okay.
And this guy invited me over, and I remember it was me, him, and two of the girls. Okay, we were there. We were just drinking. Keep in mind, we were just there drinking. Turns off the light, and has blue lights. You know where your white T-shirt glows.
Yeah.
Okay, and it brings out the damn Ouija board.
Wow.
The two girls are like excited, like because they're high, they're buzzing.
Right.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's a cool thing to do at the time, right?
Yeah. I'm the only one. I didn't grow up in church. I mean, I was raised Catholic from my mother and my father. But what did that mean? Do whatever the hell you want. Go to church and be forgiven. You know, that's pretty much what that meant, at least to me. So now, he brings out the board and he tells me, Tone, you want to play? You want to play? And I'm like, nah, I don't want to play. I just watch. And he said, you need 4. That's what according to him.
Hold that thought for a split second, Tony. Yeah. You don't have to be a Catholic. You don't have to be a Christian. You don't have to be a religious person to understand the difference between right and wrong.
Right.
You know, and you understood the difference right there.
Right. So I didn't join in. So all 3 of them now have their hands there,
right,
on the little tray thing, and they began to ask the questions. Is anybody there? Is anybody there? And they must have wasted about 15 minutes. And then, believe it or not, according to them, that they started moving on their own. Okay,
right.
They started asking the questions. What is your name? And it was funny because the first name that it actually spelled started with an X, and then it started going. It was a weird name. Could have been an ancient name. I don't know.
Right.
But it got to the point where it started freaking the girls out because one of them dropped out, and the other one said, I'm not moving it. I just have my hands on here.
Yeah.
So they stopped, okay? He took it away. Then he brought out something else that I had never, ever seen anybody do or anybody do even after that. He brought out 6 pencils. This is the 6 pencil thing. I don't know if anybody else has ever done it. Okay. He has 1 laying across and 2 facing that way. So he picks them up and grabs them. So he's pointing them at you and he tells you, do the same thing.
Right.
So you lay a pencil down and these across, so you pick them up. So now we're pointing them at each other and we're telling each other to touch them.
Right.
So you like, watch, hold your hands up. So now we're pretty much just touching pencils, okay?
Right.
And we ask it questions. And when we're touching, if the right hand lifts up, it's supposed to be yes.
Right, I remember that.
Okay, and pretty much no. And I remember that thing was literally moving by, and that one I wanted to try because I didn't know what that was about.
Right.
And it was answering all these questions, okay? And let me tell you something.
It gets addicting. I've seen people that keep doing that. It's the same crap with EVPs. It's just another form of Ouija board or pencils.
Yes. Now, here's another one that blew me away. He asked me, do you believe in levitation? And I said, no. Now, one of our homies had just gotten there. This guy's about 6'4" and weighs about 300 pounds. Mm-hmm. And he said, I bet you we can lift him up, levitation. And I said, there's no way.
I remember the guy too.
Okay.
Huge guy.
Yes. And he said, we can lift him up. And I said, there's no way, dude. If you remember, he sat him on the chair. And he said, you put your finger under his arm. I'm not going to say it because I don't want nobody trying to do it. And somebody put one under his knee. So there was 4 people. And everybody picked him up with one finger all the way up where his head touched the roof.
Right.
Okay. And this guy was about 6'4", but 300 pounds. Okay. And there was no way that we could have lifted him up with our finger. But I remember before we did that, he did something over his head where everybody did their hands. And I'm not gonna. I remember how to do it.
Don't share it.
But I'm not gonna tell people how it happened.
Right.
But we did levitate this guy. So do I believe in levitation? Yes, because I've been a part of it.
Right.
Absolutely. And I bring that up because here you have in the movie The Exorcist, you have Ouija boards. This girl claims to be possessed by the devil.
Right.
Okay. And not just a demon, but by the devil himself.
Right.
Okay. And then she levitates. So all the elements that I pretty much experienced in the neighborhood,
Yeah.
I saw it in the movie. Now, it's funny because, okay, Satan, Lucifer, Belial, whatever name, you know.
Try not to give him any recognition
Right.
at all.
Okay, now, one thing about him is that a lot of people, you said it, get Hollywood out of your mind. They think the devil's going to come and looking like the Exorcist. It doesn't happen like that. Now, I'm going to say something, and this may start up controversy. But you know what? I'm up for the challenge. There are some people right now, I believe, that are demonically possessed and don't even know it.
Absolutely. It's not like the movies. It's not like The Exorcist. It could be anything. It could be, how do I enter this? A lot of times you have thoughts that are not your own.
Yeah, I believe that.
There's times where I have had, because you could be, see, I'm trying to stay away from religion and not get into that area, but you could be positively influenced by what Catholics or Christians would call the Holy Spirit. Mm-hmm. And you know, because it's a beautiful feeling. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you can have the opposite influence,
right,
and not even know it, because it's so common to you, because it's a natural thought that humans have. We have negative and positive thoughts at all times, but sometimes they're not. Some of these thoughts are not of our own.
Yeah.
But before we go too deep into this, let me rewind a little bit about levitation.
Yeah.
Okay. I love the subject of the paranormal because I'm a huge fan, and I know I talk your head off about Arthur C. Clarke.
Yes, you do.
The author of 20 Leagues Under the Sea. The famous quote he always said, and it stuck to me like freaking crazy glue. He said this: and if an advanced civilization would come down to Earth, their technology would be either magic to us or borderline paranormal. Now, I saw an interview of a scientist not too long ago when he said, the paranormal, it's a beautiful thing. We want to study it and understand it, because once we are able to put our hands on it, whatever it is, it's going to be like Ghostbusters. We're going to be able to capture these things and study them.
Wow.
Because you know what? In reality, I'm quoting these scientists.
Yeah.
They're saying it's a science we don't understand yet, because a scientist needs proof.
Right.
But they've taken, what I mean by they is because I can't remember where I saw it, but I saw it. They've taken scientists in a haunted house, and these scientists have seen invisible things or just stuff, physical things being thrown across a room.
Right.
And they're not scared. They're like, wow. These guys have PhDs,
right,
above PhDs, and they want to understand these. I mean, these guys got
more degrees than a thermometer.
Absolutely, and they're like a pervert watching a porno movie when they're experiencing these things.
Right.
They want to understand them.
Right.
So with that being said, is what I'm saying is that I really hold the paranormal and science close, because they're going to meet eventually.
Right.
And when they meet eventually, these spirits and ghosts or demons are in big trouble. And that connects to extraterrestrials. And like I said, and I could told you guys, or wherever camera I'm looking at, extraterrestrials have a science that involves the paranormal. What I mean by involves that is that for a later date on the extraterrestrials, and I'm going to say this, and I want to be reminded, do you know that spirits or demons or ghosts cannot enter into a UFO? I've read that in a book, and I've dug so deep, and it confirmed it over a period of years that extraterrestrials, they're, to me, and I'm gonna say this: they're not angels, they're not demons, they are extraterrestrials. They're in another dimension. Some live in other planets.
Right.
But let me get off that, because it's another one, because this can go in many directions.
Right. Okay. I'm going to share with you, because I have several Ouija board stories of people that I grew up with, buddies that maybe not necessarily were friends, but guys that I pretty much grew up with. I knew him as high and by. But I'll give you a story. And this guy's last name was Daniels. That was his last name.
Okay.
I won't say his first name. And one day, I was about 22 years old when he shared this with me, and he said that this happened to him 3 years or 4 years prior. So he must have been about 16 years old.
Right. Can I touch this?
And whatever you want to do. So what happened was this, that him and his buddy are playing with the Ouija board. He said, we took a bunch of shrooms. He says, and we started playing with the Ouija board. He goes, and we just thought it wasn't working. It just didn't work, okay? He said, now, one thing that I know, Tone, that when I take drugs, he says, I see things. I start hallucinating.
Mm-hmm.
He says, but my friend may look at a picture, and it may be a picture of a man. He'll eventually see that man diving into the water. I'll start seeing, a dancing something. He said, we all see different things. He said, but this night, all of us that were on shrooms, 6 of us, he said,
saw
the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so here's what happened. He said that they continued, and he thought, man, maybe this thing needs batteries or something. And he just kept playing with it. Nothing ever happened. They told him, leave it alone. Let's watch TV. Okay. He said, before you know it, he said, I was so much into a coma, like a being high, that all of a sudden the TV went staticky. He said, I don't know when, and this is the way he said it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when I shifted into, if you will, whether you want to call it a spiritual realm or the paranormal, whatever. He said, but something switched. He says, and I turn around and I look at my friends, and they all have the same look. They all have the same look, like they saw something.
Mm-hmm.
So I finally looked at the TV. He said, and something that looked like a black, dark silhouette. He goes, it almost had like a leprechaun face for some reason. What does a leprechaun look like? Maybe he saw a leprechaun in the hood. I don't know. But he said, I saw it, and he stepped out of the TV, and he tells me this, Daniels, you shouldn't have been playing with that. Your mother's prayers are not working. That's what he said.
That sucks anytime someone mentions your mother.
Okay, now, listen to this. I turned around, and everybody saw it. He said, it just wasn't me.
Right.
He said, we all ran out of the damn house. He said, fried and everything. Now, he asked me, what do you think that was? And I said, well, it wasn't good.
No.
It wasn't good. Well, what do you think it was? Do you think maybe somehow that the drugs that he took maybe opened up a portal or something?
It always does, especially ayahuasca. Like you said, mushrooms, peyote.
People will differ with you on that, but
it's okay.
They all see things.
Everyone sees things. There's been experiments done, like I said, by science.
Right.
I may sound like Skeleto from Nacho Libre, but I believe in God.
Yeah.
But I believe in science too. But I remember I seen another podcast where it was Joe Rogan, as a matter of fact. He had mentioned that there was an experiment done with multiple people from different continents, given that drug, and they all seen these gremlin type people wearing top hats. I mean,
wow.
Is it in the drug, or is it actually opening?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to find out.
I don't either. But back to the Ouija board. I don't believe. Well, all my life I've been plagued with the paranormal.
Yeah.
I mean, I've waken up with scratches on my back, and not too long ago I showed you.
Yeah.
And you're like, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah, and you couldn't even reach.
Yeah, and I said, Tony, I deal with this. I deal with this all the time.
Right.
The apartment I used to live in Redondo Beach, I would be sitting in my living room watching TV. I called my son up, and I said, "Hey, stop slamming the effing bedroom door," because I would hear his bedroom door open, slammed, and then go into the restroom and slam that door over and over. I call him up. I go, "Hey, cut it out, man. Come on. Can I just watch TV in private? Like in peace?" And he goes, "Dad, I'm not even home." I said, "Rube, I hear freaking you guys running around, jumping around in your room, and the door slamming." He goes, "I'm not home." I'm like, shoot. Okay. Another time, let me tell you this one story. This is a really fresh story. Maybe about 4 years ago.
Okay.
I was living in San Pedro. I'm not going to say who I was living with, but I was living in San Pedro. And I was taking a nap. I heard 3 knocks on the front door. And I said, hell, you know what? I should be at work, and I'm not. It's probably my probation officer. And I just ignored it. They'll go away. Mm-hmm. And then I hear 3 doors on my bedroom door, and my door is open. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, it's probably my girlfriend trying to see if I'm awake or I'm asleep. And I just play dumb, and I hear, Ruben. And I'm playing possum. I don't want to. I'm enjoying my nap. And then I feel the presence, the person knocking on the door, get on their knees and hands and knees, and start walking toward my bed, and my foot's hanging off the bed. I feel it. You can feel it because you can feel the handprints and the footprints, so like hands and knees, and I feel a mouth gently bite my big toe, not hard, just gently bite it. And then I hear downstairs, because there's 2 flights of steps. I hear the garage door open. And I hear my ex-girlfriend tell me, honey, where are you at? Then I open my eyes and I'm like, what the hell? I thought I was her at the door knocking. Right. And I hear her walking up the steps. That scared the hell out of me. It wasn't her. It was something else. There was nothing in her room. Okay. It called my name. It bit my toe.
So whatever it was, it pretty much something that knew who you were.
Was it evil? No. But the funny thing is, I have no explanation for it.
Right.
But the thing is, Tony, not a few days later, a coworker of mine passed away. And the way I understand things, that a lot of times these people that pass away contact or approach people. Biting my big toe, though, I don't understand that. That doesn't make any sense to me. But I understand that a lot of times deceased people are always able to contact someone. Uh-huh. Maybe that's someone that's open to it. They'll contact them.
Do you think that's why people use these boards to contact these loved ones?
Yeah, it gets the best of them. Emotions and love and hate are a powerful thing.
Okay, I have to switch things up here because you're going in the direction that I'm trying to lead in, but I want to close the door on the Ouija board thing.
Okay.
My question is, do you believe, is it possible, do you know anyone that has told you or have experienced it yourself that have played with these things and eventually these spirits linger on or whatever it may be in the house and possibly what people call today haunted houses? Do you think that's one way that these spirits or entities or whatever come in and people say my house is haunted?
Yes and no. Usually Ouija boards are related to possessions.
Okay.
Attaching themselves to people, not objects, not houses.
Okay.
You know, haunted houses, if that's where we're going, and that's what I feel we're going.
Because I do believe that if it is an evil spirit, a demon, if you will, coming, or once that door is open, it stays there with you.
Yeah, it may stay open. You know, multiple entities may come through.
For an example, take the movie The Conjuring. We just saw that not too long ago. Yeah. If you remember, the lady who walks in and meets the children, she sees this shadowy thing and back up all the kids. Okay, and they said it doesn't matter if you leave here; it's going to follow you. So, is it possible that playing with these things from the other side can come in and be attached to you? That it doesn't matter even if you switch houses, it'll follow you?
Yeah, a lot of times these things just enjoy tormenting people.
Right.
These things are evil. It could be a spirit. It could be a negative. If a person dies that was a horrible person, it's going to be a horrible person in the afterlife, and they may not want to cross over. Mm-hmm. It may not want to face judgment if that was his understanding of the afterlife and his belief system, because he doesn't know where he's going to go. A lot of these spirits say, you know what, I'm going to hang around here and avoid whatever's next as long as I can. And if that person was a complete jerk, he's going to be that same person in the afterlife.
Well, now this is where me being the skeptic,
okay,
and you being the optimist,
right,
kind of like differ, because I'm the kind of person that I believe once a person dies, he's judged. Okay,
right.
You believe that he could linger around, maybe doesn't want to face judgment or whatever the case may be. I have no proof to back mine up, and you have no proof to back yours up, but we're giving people our different points of views.
We split hairs on a lot of subjects.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what, Tony? At one time, you and I were on the same page.
Yeah.
And
but like yourself, I educated myself, you educated yourself, and we pretty much went differently. Though we do believe that whether people want to call them evil spirits, demons, entities, shadow people, loved ones, or whatever. Me personally, I would never want to open the door and have those things follow me, because if I see a dark silhouette standing in the corner of my house or in my bedroom, to me, that's not good.
Well, I'll say this, Tony, to you.
And then I have a story after you share that.
To everybody, shadow people, if you ever see them, they're not good. They're not positive. They're completely evil.
Okay,
they're negative.
Now, for the people that are probably wondering, and I know nobody has all the answers, but people may say, okay, what is a shadow person? What is a demon? What is this? Some people may not be don't have discernment to know what is what.
Well, if you're a good person, Tony, your spirit, your soul will resonate with positivity. And because your spirit or soul is good, you're going to know what evil it's like two magnets. It repels each other.
Okay.
It's not good.
Okay.
Which is why I say the shadow people are either demonic or something else that we're not aware about, because right away people's shallow thought process of the paranormal, it's either an angel, alien, ghost, a spirit. No, there's many different entities out there that we're not aware of. It's just that's all we've been told and all we see on YouTube.
Right. Well, I don't believe it or not, I'm going to call it crap, all the crap that I see on YouTube, because you see goofy dudes, like I said, they act like they're giving you a tour of Disneyland. And
Zach Baggins.
Yeah, now we're going to go to this haunted house. Now we're going to go to this haunted museum. Now we're going to go. Just hearing a goofy dude like that talk about the paranormal, I turn that. Who gets these goofies to do this?
Listen, I'm not going to knock no one's hustle.
But
you know what?
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to write on your coattail on that. Okay, you get this 6'1" dude that dyes his hair black.
6'9".
He's 6'1", 6'2".
Okay.
He puts these gel. He spikes his hair up. Wears super tight black shirts, not as tight as yours.
Baby Gap.
Baby Gap. Yeah, he wears tight and he slow down, Ruben. He wears these tight black shirts.
Yes. Keep talking.
He goes in these so-called haunted houses with his crew, and he's not getting any feedback on his EVP recorders. Right. So you know what he does next?
What's that?
Come out, ghost. Show yourself. I'll fight you.
I know.
I'm like, dude, shut the heck up. I mean, this guy is such a big fraud, but you know what? He got a big contract on cable.
Yeah.
And he took the money and ran.
Yeah, of course.
Joe Rogan looks at him like a laughingstock and put him on blast.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
The guy don't even believe in ghosts.
I know. And here's the thing. I know how editing, I know how Final Cut Pro works. We could put a walkie-talkie. You could film me. Yeah. Is anybody there? Like if a ghost is going to say, no. We can do that, and then we say, did you hear that? We could be walking the street and somebody throws a beer can and we say, did you hear that?
Yeah.
And then we wasted 45 minutes of watching these goofballs, pretty much prank us, into watching them, and they get the views and they get the money or whatever. But let's bring it back to, do you believe, for the public's sake, do you believe in haunted houses?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Here's
where I'm a little skeptic, okay? Do I believe in haunted houses? Yes. But why isn't there haunted apartments, haunted condos, haunted trailers? Or maybe even haunted cars? That's kind of like where I'm like, I do believe in haunted houses, but, demons or these shadow people don't like apartments?
Apartments and trailers or whatnot, those are rotating doors for people to live in. No
Right.
one ever stays there long enough.
Right.
And usually when people move into a building, it usually takes a while before something to manifest itself.
right.
Because these things like to get the feel for people before they start the disruption.
Right.
You know, like I said, whatever they are, they don't know who they are till they move in.
Right.
They don't know who's moving in. You may have a Christian family, a Catholic family, a Mormon family,
Right.
a Muslim family move in. A lot of times, it'll stay away from them families,
Right.
or it'll be low-level haunting, or maybe just cause small problems in the family. It's not always door slamming.
Right.
It's not always chairs thrown against the wall.
Beer cans flying.
No, it
Right.
could be just causing issues
Right.
in a family.
I'm going to share a story with you, and I'm glad that we chose the subject of Ouija boards and haunted houses.
Right.
The reason why I chose this, number one, because se me prendió el foco, like the light turned on when
Right.
I walked into the room last night. You were watching The Exorcist, and I said, that's the subject, because we had so many subjects we could have chose from.
Yeah.
But we were trying to choose one for opening day.
I had fucking night.
Okay.
Excuse me. I had freaking nightmares all night.
Okay, now, this guy, I won't mention his name, and we'll just call him, I don't know, Dan, okay? For the sake of the story.
Right.
And I've known this guy for years, and I know he was raised in a Christian church, okay? So this guy invited me over one time, and to my surprise, he pulls out a Ouija board, and I was not expecting that. I was a teenager at the time. So he was probably 20 years old. I was about 17. And he starts playing with it, but it's weird the way he played with it by himself.
Yeah.
And he would move it, and I would hear him almost like whisper things or ask it things. And I saw the guy move it by himself, so I'm thinking, is that thing moving by itself, or is he moving it? So I'm just watching him, okay? He never asks me, do you want to play? But he's just moving it. Then he closes it, puts it down. I was like, what the hell was all that about? And he said, you ought to try it, man. Hold on. He said, you ought to try it. And I said, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
About a year later now, I go visit the same dude, walk into his room, and he tells me like this. It was so weird because I still remember the way he looked at me. Now I'm about 18, he's about 21. And he's actually going to USC, and he's a very, very smart dude.
Right.
He goes, sit down over there. And I said, okay. And he locks the door in his room. You know how some people put that little chain, I guess, like it's going to really keep somebody out? He had one in his bedroom, so he puts it in there.
Right.
And he looks at me and he goes, are you scared? That's what he tells me. And I was like, well, scared of what? He goes in his closet and he has a book wrapped in like a cloth, like a black cloth. I don't know what it was. Takes it off and he's cleaning it. And he opens it up. He goes, I'm going to read you something. I go, well, what is it? He said, it's a philosopher that I read. I knew where he was going.
Yeah.
And he said, have you ever heard of the philosopher Anton LaVey? Now, Anton LaVey is the guy who wrote the Satanic Bible. Okay.
I heard of him, Tony, but I think he lost his genuineness when he went Hollywood.
Probably. I mean, this guy used to hang around with the Rat Pack. We're talking about Frank Sinatra.
Right.
We're talking
Dean
about
Martin.
Sammy Davis Jr.
Yeah.
Now, let me say this. From Ouija board now to reading the Satanic Bible.
Right.
Okay.
I've read the Satanic Bible.
I'm starting to see the snowball here. Let me finish. So here's what happens. He goes, do you want me to read something to you? And I go, no, I don't want you. He goes, are you scared? And he kept telling me, are you scared? And I was like, dude, I'm not scared, dude. I said, but what happened to you? That's what I asked him. Mm-hmm. What happened to you? You were very active in the church. Like, what happened? He said this, that he had a Christian experience one time in church where he was dancing in the spirit. That's what he told me. Mm-hmm. He was dancing, whatever that means, he was dancing in the spirit. Okay. Then what happens is one of his college buddies asks him, do you want to take a trip to Africa? Okay. He said, so I went. He said, we got high. He says, we drank. And then we started dancing around a bonfire in the jungle. Mm-hmm. He said, and that I started dancing in the spirit again.
The wrong spirit.
The wrong spirit.
Yeah.
Then he says, that felt no different than from when I used to dance in the spirit at church. Mm-hmm. So I quit church. I just felt that God was everywhere. And he came up with this real nice quote. He goes, God is too big to be in one religion. It sounds nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
He got manipulated.
He got manipulated. But not to talk about religion, but now here we go. Comes home now. He puts the Satanic Bible away. I leave. I don't bother this guy. 2 years later, I see him at a theater. He sees me, and his eyes are wide open like this. And he goes, I need to talk to you. I need to talk to you. And I was like, okay, talk to me. He goes, when can you come over to my house? He goes, better yet, can I stay at your house? And I was like,
hell no.
nah, dude, what's going on? He goes, I need to stay somewhere tonight. He goes, can I talk to you tomorrow?
Yeah.
And I said, okay, yeah, let me give you my number, okay? This is when you gave out your home number, okay? So he calls me, and he tells me, can you meet me at my house? Okay, I'll meet you at your house. He didn't stay too far from me. I went to go meet him, and he just tells me everything that I got involved in, it got worse. And I said, what do you mean? He said, from the Ouija board to the Satanic Bible, now according to him, to dancing in the spirit in Africa, in some ritual, whatever. He said, now I'm starting to see dark shadows, dark silhouettes. He said, at first, I saw them walking by. He says, I saw them where I was worshiping in the jungles.
Right.
He said, but now I brought them home. He said, but it's getting worse now. Now they're pulling on my legs as I sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. Now it's getting to the point where I see them and they bump into, now they can touch me. He said, I can't stay here no more.
Yeah.
Okay. He said that he went, last part, he went to a gas station bathroom to use the bathroom. He said, and one of them walked in. Okay. So now, do we call that house haunted? Or is it just an evil spirit oppressing him? Because I think a lot of people have a misconceptions of haunted houses, like the ghost is just living there.
Yeah, that makes my skin crawl. But I'm going to say this. It's a low-level demon that's attached to him and following him around. We need at least 4 hours, maybe more, to go through this.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
So for those that believe in angels and demons, because if you believe in demons, you got to believe in angels. With that being said, there's cherubims, seraphims, archangels. Let me know if I'm missing any. And then you got regular angels.
Yeah.
There's levels.
Right.
Okay. If we remember correctly, 1/3 of heaven fell to earth.
Right.
What are they called now?
Well, 1/3 of the angels from heaven fell to earth. The thing is, we don't know what was that third. It could be billions.
Trillions.
Yeah, we don't know.
Right.
We don't know.
What I'm saying is that it's exactly the same thing with demons. Okay. With that being said, it's probably a low-level demon because this guy is just someone playing with the negative forces.
Right.
Right.
Didn't realize what he was getting into.
It's not going to be a high-level demon. Okay.
Right.
With that being said, these haunted houses and these demonic entities, there's always people talking about. I think we may be drifting off too far, but I'll say it in brief. People want to sell their soul to the devil.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's for another show.
Yeah, but let me say this. Lucifer ain't going to deal with you. You have nothing to offer him. So, and that's all I'm going to say, and that's going to be for our next episode. It's so juicy because I know for a fact, I know multiple hip-hop artists, and I know artists in Mexico.
Right.
But that sold their soul. Yeah.
Let's not get too much into that because you're giving away our next show.
I wish the show would be longer, but back to
haunted houses.
And you said you had mentioned Anton LaVey, Aleister Crowley.
Right.
Okay. And you know this because a famous rap artist wears it on his shirt. If you can remember correctly, what's the first verse in the Satanic Bible?
Do what thou wilt.
Yeah. Who wears it on his shirt?
We all know, but I'm trying to reel you back in.
Right.
Okay. I get it. Here's my thing. Okay. Now, a person that has a haunted house or a person that has evil spirits or entities or shadow people, how does one tell the difference whether if it's a ghost, a demonic being, a alien, or whatever?
Okay. Shadow people are not deceased. It's not a disembodied spirit from a human.
Okay.
Shadow people are always negative. Spirits, usually when you see a shadow person, you're going to smell foul stench, like rotting bodies.
I never heard that.
Yeah.
Like sulfur, that's what they call it.
Sulfur, because they say hell is hot.
Right.
Second, spirits don't possess the power to move objects the way it's got to be demonic.
Right.
And when it's a poltergeist, it's multiple demonic entities. And I believe that they're higher level demons because they have that power
to
move objects.
sometimes, like this one guy told me this story, and I had to, I don't know if it helped him, but I had to share this with him. Because he said, the devil was in my house. The devil was in my house is haunted.
No,
and
it wasn't.
And I said, hold on a second. Hold on. I said, look, let me tell you something. You may not want to hear this. I said, but you to the devil are small potatoes.
Yeah.
This is why I say this. Because if these fallen angels that we read about are these demonic beings, okay, I think Satan has better things to do, because one thing that we've learned that Satan is not omnipresent, meaning that he could be everywhere at the same time.
Cannot.
He could only be at one place.
Absolutely.
Okay, so he assigns, if you will, these evil spirits / demons
Levels.
to certain locations. So you might have had an evil spirit that lied to you and told you he was the devil. Because one thing about Mexican families or Latino families all over Mexico, Central America, etc.
Hispanic.
Yeah. They all have a story, que se me pareció el diablo, the devil appeared to me.
Right.
Now, they might have seen something, maybe even in their house, but we can never just say it's the devil, because I think he's got bigger things to do. You know, he's probably somewhere in Europe right now.
And the Rothschilds.
We'll get
mansion.
into Antichrist ready, but that's for another show.
Right. I got so much stuff, dude. It's hard to stay on track, because
I know.
It's like within the same thing, but I'm gonna stay on the subject.
I have another story, and then I'm going to open it up for you if you want to share. Whether this was a haunted house or just an evil spirit, it's hard to pinpoint it. Is it a haunted house? Or is this entity just following this family? It's hard, you know. Let me share this with you. It's a guy I've been knowing for a long time, and believe me, I know a lot of people. I heard a lot of stories, and he tells me this. It all started with playing with the Ouija board. You know, he had a brother that passed away, and I get it. His brother was killed, okay? But he was trying to contact him because that was his older brother, and he loved him. He tried contacting a bruja, which is a witch, okay?
Yeah.
He tried to see if they could mediate to the dead.
That's
they
bad,
couldn't.
man.
As a matter of fact, one of them even told him, leave it alone. Leave it alone. Well, this guy goes to Target, and he decides to buy a Ouija board. Okay? And he said, it doesn't work. Whatever.
It worked. It's just going to come to you later on.
Now, here's what happened. He has 3 kids.
Right.
Okay? He's single, living in a 1-bedroom apartment. At night, he would hear this. Something scratching.
I've experienced that.
He's looked everywhere. Where was that scratching coming from?
Right.
So finally at night, keep in mind, he has a Ouija board under the couch. His kids sleep in one room, and he sleeps in the living room. This board was under his couch. So finally, he just said, I'm going to look. He bought the glow-in-the-dark one. He opens it up, and that little triangle thing is moving.
Right.
Okay? It's moving by itself. He turns on the lights. It stops.
Right.
It stops. Okay? So now, he's thinking, okay, I'll throw it away tomorrow. I'll get rid of it. Maybe it's my brother. I don't know. Turns off the lights. Here's the mistake that he did. He grabbed the Ouija board and took it in the kids' room. He didn't want to hear it anymore because he wanted to go to sleep, because he had to go to work. Okay? Took it in the kids' room, threw it in the closet. He said a half an hour later, he's asleep on his back. He wakes up to feet, tiny feet, walking on his legs. Okay? And he's terrified. He said, I wake up in a cold sweat, and it's my daughter. He says, looking down at me face to face like this, and he's telling me, Daddy, he says, I'm scared. Can I sleep with you? And he said, sure, no problem. Grabs her. He said, about 30 minutes later again, he said, at least that's what it seemed like.
Right.
A pair of legs or a pair of feet are walking on him again, and it's his kids. Both of them came out, Dad, we're scared. Now it's all of his kids.
Right.
So he says that he's hugging them now, and he just happens to look towards the door, and it was something there he described about 8 foot tall. He said, I don't know what it was, but I think it was a man standing like this guarding the door.
Right.
He says, and I was terrified that I couldn't move. And my oldest daughter said to me, Dad, do you see it? They even saw it.
Let me contribute to that. Back to my apartment where I left. I was telling you about footsteps, doors, bathroom door, bedroom door. I'm calling my son.
Yeah.
Okay. I come home sometimes. No one's home.
Yeah. I'm listening.
And I'm gonna tell you why I was experiencing these things.
Yeah.
I was running amok on the streets,
Right.
not actually being a good person. I was in the game, for lack of better words.
Okay.
I come home drunk as hell. I open the door, make a quick left, walk up the steps, and I see a shadow standing at the top. Normal size, not
Right.
8 foot, not 10 foot, but I know what it is. But Tony, call me crazy, but I don't give a F. I just walk up the steps, walk right through it, and say, get the F out of my way. Reason being is myself, the way I think. At one point in my life, I just didn't care. I just had enough. I've been through it. I've been through too much. I lost a family. I won't go in. I lost a lot. I lost everything I ever loved. I've been on top of the world at one time. And I went back to my old lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Sure enough, started experiencing negative things, paranormal things. But I got away from it. And you know what? Even though I go through things in life, who doesn't?
Right.
But I'm not going to blame that. But that point in my life, I seen those things. I mean, doors opening, closing, shadow people. And I didn't give a F. I just walked through and say, get the F out of my way. I walked through it.
So you can actually say you got used to living like that?
For a point. Yeah. I mean, I wake up with freaking scratches on my back. I probably never get another date in my life after this podcast, but.
Probably not.
But, no, I just didn't care because you know what? There's not one day in my life that I repent of my wrongdoings. Mm-hmm. And I ask God, if I die, please have mercy and take me.
Right.
And I go through this. Mm-hmm. There's times, I mean, I get months, I don't experience nothing, but I get it. But when you see the shadow person, it usually smells like freaking
right.
a corpse.
Right.
You know,
right.
And
now, would you say that your house was haunted?
No, I brought them things into my life.
Now, for people that may try to understand, because some people move into a house and they say it's haunted. Then there's people that, like you said, you brought these things in. So can that happen both ways?
Or you can walk into a home that may have a deceased person's spirit there that don't want to leave it because you know what? It may have been their great grandparents' home and they don't want to leave it. They don't want no one in there. It's my house. This is my property.
Right.
It could be that.
Right.
We don't have all the answers, which is why I despise ghost hunters.
Right.
I would love to punch a ghost hunter in his face. Freaking
you may get a chance.
Charlatans, man. Straight liars.
I know. And it's all fake, you know. And I mean, pretty soon they're going to want to sell you a ghost in a bottle. You know, so, you know, we caught one. You don't see it? Look, it's right there. You know, that's what they're going to be doing, you know. But yeah. But now, I'm glad we're talking about this because there's a lot of people out there that believe in the paranormal, that have seen things that they cannot explain. And that's why we encourage them to share their stories on Freaky Tales Podcast at gmail.com. Hold on. But they have to share the stories. Try to keep it reasonably around 2 paragraphs long. At the end of the show, we'll open it and we'll discuss it.
But tell them. Well, I'm going to say it. Don't be shy. Don't be embarrassed. No one's going to judge you. No one's going to laugh at you. I've been ridiculed all my life. I've been laughed at. I've been called ET. I've been called Ghostbuster. I've been called Star Wars. I've been called every name in the book. I didn't care. I knew what I knew, and I believe what I believe. And I'm still learning. I don't have all the answers, but you know what, Tony? Finding the answers is one big puzzle in life, and slowly over decades, not months, weeks, but over decades, you start to put your puzzle together with truth.
Right.
Never put your finger on something and say, this is it. This is the truth. I found it. When you do that, you're no longer an optimist. You think you know it all, and you're not open to truth. And you may be revealed the truth.
Right.
You know, so I keep an open mind. I'll listen to someone that wants to talk to me because I'm not arrogant. I'm optimistic. I want to know. If I can learn from someone, I'm all ears. Talk to me. I'm just not going to listen to no more I'm not going to go on hands-on studies anymore, play Ouija boards, read the satanic. I was reading a book after I got off of work. I came to my dorm. I laid in bed. I picked up a book. And it was like a Satanist book. No one's in the dorm. Everybody's out to chow. I'm laying in bed. And I hear my name. Ruben. No one's in the freaking dorm. But I hear my name being whispered. And I say to myself, at this point, I'm not even afraid anymore. I just know that I'm learning as I'm going along and I shouldn't be playing with this. But it's being a human being, it's so hard to let go. You want to know more.
Of course. See, but now, can that be dangerous? Can that be dangerous for somebody that wants to know more and you continue to dig and then open up doors? So you have to use wisdom in there.
Okay, with that being said, Tony, Aleister Crowley, do you know how he died?
No, I don't.
He had died alone in his apartment as a heroin addict.
You know what? You know what? It was... People were saying that now Anton LaVey, the man he ordained, people said he had heart problems, but later on it came out, revealed that he died of AIDS. Okay, now whether that's true or not, two stories that Hollywood belched out. Now, but let me share something with you. Now that you brought that up about Aleister Crowley, this guy possibly went a little bit too far. His sister, that a lot of people don't know, came out on a Christian television show. I believe she's a believer now. Like, when I mean by believer...
I think you're talking about Anton LaVey's kids.
No, Anton LaVey's sister.
Okay, I thought it was his daughter and his son.
Okay, well, one of them.
Okay.
Here's what happened. They went on a Christian television show, and they were talking about their father or their brother. I believe it's the sister. So what happened was, and for people that want to know, Google Anton LaVey's sister or Anton LaVey's death on YouTube, and it'll come up. And his last words were this. That when he was dying, he was on his deathbed, and he began to yell out, "Oh no, what have I done?
Yep.
What have I done?" That's what he said, and then he died.
Yep. He's going to have to pay for his punishment.
Well, you know what? Can he just linger on?
I'm not going to touch that.
Okay.
Because I know we're probably pissing off a lot of Satanists tonight, because I know there's some Satanists watching, but you know what? I don't care, Well,
I'm going to speak the truth. I piss off a lot of people on my other podcast, so...
I don't care. If you see him in the street, approach me. Just don't get mad if I punch you in the mouth.
Okay, anyway. But have you ever gotten into a fight with a ghost? No. Anyway.
I walked through one, it smelled like crap.
Damn. Okay, anyways, I'm going to share one last thing, and then, I'll let you...
I'm going to go after you, because I got plenty, but I'm going to tell you this, Tony. Keep me on track.
I know. Because you go on rabbit trails.
The rabbit hole. I'm going down a rabbit hole, and it's hard to stay on one subject when they all connect, but I'm doing my best.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. I'm going to share this with you, and I know you can agree. And here's how pretty much I want to start closing.
Okay.
Our house that we grew up in. Okay. I won't say the location because I don't want people to try to go there.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mind the house, but the garage, I believe, was haunted.
I believe it might have been an angry, because I didn't. At first, I thought it was a human spirit.
Right.
But when I pimped out that room in the garage, because it's like I was a teenager and I didn't want to live in a house with my parents, and I'm like, oh, I'm cool. I'm living in the garage now. I pimped it out, and I remember I went to Tijuana, and I said, oh, that's a dope Jesus crucifix. I bought one, put it on the wall.
I remember.
And the incident that happened that night, and I came home, and it was on the floor, broken, and shattered in pieces.
Right.
Because the devil knows what a person likes, and what he will use all his resources to get at you. Right. And what happened to me that night was a woman, a beautiful blonde, blue eyes, and a black Jetta. I met her at a payphone. As a matter of fact, I was making a dope sale in the 80s. I had a beeper.
But let's stick to the haunted house,
yeah, I know,
okay?
I know. Okay.
See, because you're going off. That's the wine talking right there. Okay.
I hear you, but sorry about that.
That's for another story, because we're leading into the...
All right, so get me back. Let's get back where we were saying.
Into the garage.
Yeah.
The garage. Do you believe that it was haunted? Do you believe it was demonic? Do you believe those are just wandering spirits? Because you experience a lot there.
I really thought it was deceased people that lived there, because they did have wakes, funerals, or whatnot in there. But after I saw my crucifix that I bought shattered on the floor, and I'm thinking, just based on that, I had to say it was evil because I felt evil and negative.
For years.
Yeah, I would come home late at night, drunk as hell. And this was like 1988, 89. Come back selling dope all day. This was a crack era.
Right, of course.
I walk to the side of the house. I get there, and I look at the windows, and I'm like, I ain't gonna lie, man. I don't want to go in there.
It was calling you.
Yeah, and I said,
just like it was
and
calling me.
The first thing I said, because you and I were always together, Tony. We ran amok in the harbor area in the South Bay of LA, and I'm thinking, man, where the hell's Tony at, man? I'm like, I don't want to go in there. So I'm like, all right, cool. Open the garage door, and I see my room, but I'll see the garage open. That scared the crap out of me, and I'll run into my room, and I'm in there. I close the door. But for an hour straight, I just had chills. Like, I need to get out of here. Something don't feel right.
Right.
But I was scared to get out. We didn't have cell phones back
Right.
then.
Of course. Of course.
I just kept looking at my beeper, hoping you would like text me and like, where you know, like,
Right.
I don't know how I would call you, but I was hoping I would hear from you because
Right.
you and I were always together. And finally, I just said, screw it. I opened the door and I ran out of the garage and I ran into the house. And lo and behold, you're in the bed asleep. I'm
Right.
like,
Now, you said something that's very, very true. We would, because the garage wasn't attached to the house. So I would always look out the back door and look at the garage, and I always saw dark in there, just dark. But I always felt that it was calling me.
Yes.
And it's not a voice that you hear, at least not that I, heard it. But it was just like pretty much telling you.
yeah, something you didn't want to do.
Right. Those are the key words, something you don't want to do. So here's what happened. And I shared this only one other time. And the movie Insidious.
Yeah.
It blew my mind. One scene. When the lady plays a record, she goes around the house, take out trash. The song changes. She's from the outside looking in, and she sees this little boy or whatever it was dancing.
Yeah, I don't like when I see like horror movies with kids. That's not good.
So she goes through the other window and she sees, and this little kid, to me, I don't know what it was. I thought it was because it's shaped like a little boy. I don't know if that's what they meant for it to look like.
Yeah.
But she sees it, and then she goes to the next window and it disappears. The music stopped. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I said that to make a connection with the house. When I saw that movie, and I saw that with my daughters.
Yeah.
They were watching it. And I saw it and I walked away because it freaked me the hell out because I only saw that one other time. Whoever put that in that movie knew what they were doing.
They do their homework, Tony.
Okay. Now, I finally go into the garage. I open the door, and then there's that little room when you walk in to go into the bigger part of the garage.
Yeah.
I'm walking in with my eyes closed. It is pitch black in there. Like literally pitch black.
And always cold.
Yes. And I looked towards the corner of the garage,
Yeah.
and there was something there shaped like a little boy that was darker than the actual dark room.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that little boy looked like he was moving the same way that the movie Insidious.
It wasn't a little boy, Tony.
Right. But here's the thing. I couldn't move.
Yeah.
I couldn't move. I was stuck there, and I saw it there. And I don't know if he had his back towards me and he was facing the corner of the garage, because I felt him pretty much do one of these. And he saw me.
Yeah.
And I got this fear that came across my face, and that's when I was able to walk away. And as soon as I went through that door, I ran back into the house.
Yeah.
I never even shared that with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what I felt, I'll tell you this. It wasn't good. I don't think it was a deceived loved one.
No.
If anything, I just thought that thing was evil.
Yeah. There's a few things I want to say. To add to that, the way I overcome certain situations out of fear,
Yeah.
I'm going to mention sleep paralysis. And this is in regarding to what you said.
Yeah.
Sleep paralysis and emotions. You almost got to master your emotions. Another word I'm going to say is anxiety. You know why people have anxiety? There's a moral to this story.
Okay.
Okay, anxiety. Hold that in your head. Everybody hold anxiety in the word anxiety. You know why you have anxiety in your head on certain things? Because you care too much. When you care too much, you have anxiety. When you learn not to give a F, there's no such thing as anxiety. I'm giving you an example of emotions and reactions in a human being.
Right.
When you experience these things and you let go and you don't give a F, you almost accept it, and these things acknowledge it and react and almost leave you alone.
Okay.
The reason I'm saying this, Tony, is because I've come to an acceptance. I mean, like I told you, I wake up with scratches on my back. Okay. I wake up in the middle of the night with the blankets being pulled off my body. And I say to myself, what am I going to do? What's going to happen?
So what you're saying is you're not feeding into it.
I'm not feeding into it, Tony. I'm tired. I'm tired. If I die, I know where I'm going. I have my belief system that I'm not pushing on to anybody. Right. But if people ask me, I would tell them.
Right. We'll save that for a different show because the last thing that I want people think we're trying to preach religion.
Oh, well, I'm not even mentioning it. I'm just saying that.
Of course.
I'm come to a place in my life where I've seen so much of it that I've taken on my mom's persona, where my mom would always rush to me when this paranormal crap. My mom was afraid, but when it came to her children, which is us,
of course,
she didn't care if it was the devil himself attacking us.
Right.
She'll jump on him and rip his horns off.
Right.
And that's the heart I've grown.
Right.
Where I like, you know what? I'm done, dude. I know where I'm going.
Right.
Yeah. Am I scared a little bit? Sure.
I think a lot of it. I'm scared a lot of it. Look, let me tell you something. We've all. Some of us have been to jail. Some of us have faced dudes that we know are very well connected. Okay.
Yeah.
And we can all say we fear no man. But let me tell you something. When you see something paranormal that you cannot explain, that you cannot shoot, that you cannot fight, that most likely you cannot defeat, I've seen some of the hardest people run from those things.
Right.
But what you're saying is don't feed into it. It feeds off of your fear.
100%.
Okay.
You know why, Tony? Without getting into religion,
right?
There's a certain belief system, and I'm staying on neutral ground,
right,
to not bring religion into this because I don't want to offend anybody. There's a scripture and a certain religious text where the Creator says, "You pray with me with your lips, but your heart is far from me." Intention, emotions, and feelings, love, hate, all that stuff are powerful energies.
Yes.
Very powerful. And when you learn them and accept them in situations, it's like wielding a fiery sword without really wielding it, because it is what it is, for lack of better words. There's no explanation to it.
I want to share something with you, and probably my last question for you as we close. I don't know if I want to call it gifted because I don't want it.
Can we do another hour?
I don't know if this is call it gifted or it's just but I don't want it. Let me just say it that way before you missed on my train of thought. That's my brother, and that's what he does. Okay.
We fight all the time.
And here's what happens. I've gone into people's homes and knew that there was something there.
Yeah.
Okay. I know you've experienced that too. Some people call it discernment. Some people call it discernment of spirits. Some people call it other things, whatever. I've shook in people's hands and seen things about that person.
Right.
And sometimes since I've done this podcast, my other podcast, and I had a lot of people come through, there's only been one person that's come through my door, and I shook his hand and I saw a shadow right behind him. And I had a really, really hard time interviewing him because it was always there. And I never told anyone in the room, and we had a packed room that day.
Right.
But I'll be real with you, I wanted to hurry up and end that show. I wanted to hurry up and get that guy out of here, because whatever it was, whether it was negative energy, whether it was evil spirit, whether it was demonic, whatever, it just did not sit well with me. I can go into a house, or I can meet people and feel those things.
Yeah.
I can meet people and sense all good. the chemistry, the vibe, the love. It's all there.
Like I said, Tony, it's a science.
Yes.
And I want to quote some. If there's anybody in the medical field listening, they're going to understand what an EKG is and an EEG is. The body releases a low-level electromagnetic pulse. Mm-hmm. I think I'm choosing the right words. I'm a little wind out a little bit right now, but those are little vibrations, little energies we release. Mm-hmm. With that being said, it's a science. Mm-hmm. Airports have cameras, infrared cameras that pick up different spectrums. Mm-hmm. They can see when you're nervous. They can see when you're scared. They can see when you're anxious. It picks up different colors of your aura. That's science. And I always tie science to the paranormal because we're getting to that point where we can see stuff. I mean, we're capturing stuff on camera that the naked eye can't see because our eyes only capture certain spectrums and our eyes don't really see. Our eyes, whatever we direct them to, are sending signals to our brain, right. And our brain is developing a picture in our mind.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, there's a lot of stuff around us that we don't see. There's dogs, animals that see stuff. You ever see a dog bark at nothing, or a cat hissing at something? Because their eyes have different spectrum. Right. I love tying science. I wish I would have stayed in school.
Yeah.
Which is why I studied this, Tony, for over 30 years.
Right.
It's a fascination, yet you got to be very careful.
Yes.
And have a religious foundation to protect yourself.
Okay. And at the same time, you're not preaching religion because
absolutely
we
not.
don't want people to think that we're trying to tell them, hey, you need to start studying this.
No, you people believe in what they want to believe. Right. They don't have to believe what we're saying.
Right. Exactly.
Find out for yourself.
Right.
But don't come crying and asking for questions over here.
When you see a shadow person drinking your modelos.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, check this out. We're gonna go ahead and close it right there. First of all, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank everybody for being a part of this. I want to thank everybody for subscribing. We shared our stories. We shared what was on our hearts. We shared what we've seen, what we've experienced, etc. And we want you to continue to not only share this with others, but eventually be a part of this. And how you be a part of it is through a Freaky Tales podcast at gmail.com, or if you have a paranormal story or an experience, please share with us. Please share. We want you to be a part of the show, and eventually we are going to have special guests. This was just our first show to kind of break the ice, to kind of give you an introduction of what we are going to be talking about, dealing with, etc. So now, once again, Freaky Tales podcast at gmail.com. Send us your story. Please keep it around 2 paragraphs, not that long, please. I don't want to read somebody's diary here. I just want to read your story, and then we're going to open it up for discussion. And then also you can follow us at Freaky Tales Podcast on Instagram. You can follow us there for for future content. Other than that, once again, I want to thank all you subscribers, everybody who tuned in, everybody who was watching. I know some of you people said you guys were going to be at work. You guys probably watch it tomorrow. I hope you enjoy. Leave a comment. I don't care if it's negative or positive. It'll help us improve this show, because this is something that I've been wanting to dabble in for a long time, and I'm thankful that I'm able to sit here and share it with you. And thank you for allowing us into your home so that we can sit there with you while you enjoy this podcast. Other than that, Spy Smuggler, anything you want to say in closing? Right now is the time.
I just want to say thank you for everyone I reached out to subscribe and watch tonight. Don't be shy. Send in your stories. No one's going to judge you. No one's going to think you're crazy. Because if anybody thinks you're crazy, I'm crazy. With that being said, in closing, I will be setting up a P.O. box for friends that are abroad that cannot or don't have access to social media, but can write in somehow watching. I got to be careful what I said. But I will have a P.O. box for people to write in. And I will have the letters here, and I will pick one eventually and read it out loud live and give shout outs.
He likes to read letters. I'll read the email after
I'm old fashioned. I've been there, done that.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and take a toast, because you know what we did? When I started Rhodium Radio, we took a toast and we said, for prosperity, for success, and that the audience would be blessed by our, if you will, discussions, interviews,
Right.
etc. And Rodent Radio blew up. You know, it took off.
It did.
In less than a year, let me just say this. I'll take the word blew up. I'll say we were successful so far.
Because there's good people watching.
Yes. And I hope the same thing. Now, eventually, I do want to have even some of our listeners possibly come in here and share.
Yeah.
You know, some of their stories. And we will have guests eventually. Name some of the people that we kind of been in contact with that haven't given us a clear date or are still thinking about it. I know you mentioned several people today, or unless you don't want to mention them yet.
I will.
Give us 2 people at least.
I've been involved a lot in Comic Cons and conventions and special effects makeup,
Right.
and I got a lot of celebrity friends that I've been in contact with, and I want to give a big shout out to my friend Ethan Tudor W. He's a '80s child movie star. He was on The Facts of Life, Silver Spoons,
Right.
Escape from Witch Mountain, and I was in contact with him today, and he's had some Bigfoot encounters, has pictures,
Right.
sketches, and maps
Right.
where he encountered it in Washington.
Let's not give them too much, okay?
Got it.
Because every Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we will be discussing different topics.
Yeah.
Different topics. So with different guests. So with that being said, everybody, I just want to thank you guys for tuning in, for subscribing. Continue to share, comment, negative or positive. It doesn't matter. It'll help us improve it. I want to thank John Elkins for helping us put this podcast together. I want to thank my brother, the Spice Smuggler. And other than that, if you're an evil spirit and you're watching, you're not welcome here. Vámonos a la, get the. But anyways, other than that, salud. Thank you. Success to Freaky Tales Podcast, and remember this tonight, okay? Expect the unexpected. See you next Friday.